Welcome to This Week in Baseball Player Profiles as we profile Tyler Bugner from Andale High School and former Colorado draft pick. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Thanks, Tono. Thanks for having me.
Hey, how you doing today? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good.
Well, again, I want to start off by saying I do appreciate you coming in today and taking time to visit the show and go over some baseball stuff. So when you were growing up, you played in Andale and you played in Andale High School. How was that? How was your playing experience there in high school when you played there?
I mean, honestly, in the big scheme of things, Andale's pretty small,
right,
compared to what else is out there in Texas and California and just what everyone else is exposed to. So, kind of later on in my career, I got to really look back and see, how small it was to be in Andale. But I played at Sluggers growing up,
right.
So I got out and I got to play into more competitive, travel ball instead of just rec leagues, around Andale. But I mean, it was a great experience because,
right.
I got to play with my friends growing up and, looking back.
Small town, small community, everybody knows each other.
Absolutely.
And you brought up Sluggers. You played there for a few years, and I know Staniford coached you for a few years. And I remember your senior year, quite frankly, you were coming in the door and we were like, all right, we got Tyler Bugner, all right, play outfield. All right, we backed you last the first tournament, and you went off. You went off that tournament. And then Mark's like, we got to bat him lead off. And you batted lead off the rest of the summer. And Mark and I kept looking at each other. This is prior to him coaching, I believe, at Tabor. And we kept looking at each other. How come no one's on this guy? Like, no offers. What's going on? And then Newman came.
Yep.
So how was that for you your senior year? Because, we got a lot of kids now trying to figure out with COVID what to do. How was that for you, your experience waiting that long before you committed?
Waiting that long, I mean, that's kind of what's funny now with kids nowadays is because there's so much more exposure and there's so many more ways for them to reach coaches. And, my family, we didn't know anything.
Right.
So I wasn't doing any videos. I was just playing summer ball and then playing at Andale, and we thought that was enough. And Hutch was my only a walk-on. I mean, I wasn't even going to get a scholarship. They wanted me to walk on, and then Newman, I think it was through another coach, and honestly my dad might have been talking to Newman as well. And then they came out and watched, and then that was my only offer out of high school.
All right. And I know, how was your experience at Newman? How was that?
It was, going in, I didn't really know what to expect because, I was just a small town, and I thought it was the greatest thing. They had a clubhouse, and we had a ping pong table and couches, and we had
right.
lockers, and I had my own locker, and it was, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. But then, as we traveled and went to different facilities, I saw, we weren't as fortunate, and we didn't have the money that other schools had
right.
donated to the baseball program. But I mean, that experience at Newman, you just grinded, and we didn't have the best facility and the best tools to work with, and I think that's really what helped me make it to the next level is because I just had to figure a way out. I didn't, we were wearing the same two shirts for practice every other day, blue and red, and then the same baseball pants for practice, and we were there to wash them, and it was tough to juggle, going to school, trying to study, going to practice for 3 or 4 hours, and it really made me grow up really
Quick.
Fast.
Yeah. Blue collar mentality.
Absolutely.
Not white collar, but blue collar.
Yeah.
You had to earn everything you got there.
Yeah.
And you did. You earned everything you got. You, correct me if I'm wrong, you were an All-American.
Yep.
You were
my
an
sophomore and junior year.
Yep. Hit well over 400, I believe, in those 2 years. You tore it up. And that helped you get drafted by the Rockies. And what round were you drafted in?
21st.
21st round by the Colorado Rockies. What was that like that day that you got drafted? How did that, make you feel like, all right, I finally accomplished something? I mean, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, that whole day was, just a string of emotions because, Brett Baldwin was my scout, and he was kind of talking to me, and there was a little bit of talk about maybe sneaking into the 10th round. It was between me and another outfielder, and they went with another one. Vince Fernandez was his name. Really good guy and a great player. But yeah, so that morning I got a call from Zane Ealing, which was my head coach at Newman, and he called and said, hey, the Cardinals called me and they're thinking of taking you in the 13th round. And I said, well, I haven't talked to him. And so then I was kind of talking to Brett with the Rockies and saying, hey, listen, like they did this. And he says, well, we'll see what we can do. And the Cardinals called me in the 13th round. They say, hey, we'll draft you. We'll give you this much for signing bonus in school. And I ended up turning them down.
Really?
And that was the craziest thing that I've ever done, is because, you know, I had not talked to him and I wanted to go to the Rockies.
Okay.
And so, you know, once I told him no, I'm like, that might have been the only chance that I ever get, you know, to go play pro ball. And, you know, fast forward to the 18th, 19th round, I was on the phone with Brett, and my family was outside, so everyone was kind of getting excited because they thought it was going to happen. And yeah, he called in the 19th round. He said, hey, I think we're going to take you soon. And he calls in the 21st and says, we're going to take you. And you know, everyone was ready. We had computers and TV, and then my name popped up. And you know, I wish we could have filmed it. And pictures, and you know, we just didn't really
Mom
know.
didn't film it.
You know, my mom wasn't even there. She was with my sister at a softball tournament.
Oh.
So yeah, wish she could have been there, but you know, it was you know, I had my family there, and,
Right.
and it was you know, it was a dream come true, because you know, I didn't realize, you know, I just grew up in a small town, went to a really small Division II school. Like, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into, and really how lucky I was to get the opportunity to go play at the next level.
Right.
And that's an experience that, you know, every young player wants in their lives, and you lived it, and you did it, and you achieved it, and that's awesome. Proud of you for that.
Thank you.
So speaking of players and playing with the Rockies, who's the best player you feel that you ever played with or played against, or one of each?
You know, I'll have to say, and you know, this was my rookie ball year, you know, Colton Welker, he was out of Florida. He was, I think he was our 4th round pick, played third base. You know, that was the kind of hitter I was, is, you know, I hit the ball the other way, and he was so good at hitting the ball the other way, and he was 18 years old, and he was facing guys throwing 96 like it was nothing. And he, you know, just seeing him in the 3 years that I was with the Rockies, like him just grow, you know, I would just have to say that was probably the best player that I've played with.
Played with, okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, you bring it up 96, which is now like everybody's arm now.
Yeah.
It seems like. You feel that's an advantage for some of these other states, and I'll use Texas, Florida, over us here in the Midwest? Do you think that's an advantage for them?
Absolutely. You know, that's one thing that I think a lot of people overshadowed me, is if I could play at the next level, because we just didn't see velocity every day. You know, the probably hardest I saw in college was 91, 92, but I would consistently see 86 to 88. And yeah, I think it was a huge advantage, because it took me that much more time to get used to that velocity, rather than all the guys, you know, that were coming out of high school, or, you know, these big time schools. So yeah, absolutely. I think that they have an advantage going into it, but you know, it just takes time. You know, we're human. You know, we're going to adapt and
Make adjustments.
And I had to make adjustments, and it worked out.
So you made one big adjustment when you stopped playing ball, came back, and you went to Newman to start coaching. But it wasn't baseball; it was softball. What led you to do that?
You know, when I got done playing, it was, you know, it was kind of a low point in my life, and you know, I wish I wouldn't have left. You know, I wish I would have went back and played another year. So I was kind of scared to get back into the baseball, you know, realm, and be around it. And I helped coach in the summer for the Hutchinson Monarchs for summer ball, and I just didn't, you know, I enjoyed coaching, but I didn't enjoy, you know, being around the game, because I just missed it that much. And that's why I didn't really want to get into baseball right away. And then my sister was playing at Newman, and I had the opportunity to help student assist and get a scholarship, and I had a buddy of mine that coaches softball, and he kind of was talking to me saying, hey, like, I think you'd really enjoy this. His name's DJ Gasso. His mom coaches at OU. Probably the best coach of all time. Natty Patty. And he kind of got me onto it and said, hey, man, you should just try it out for a semester and see what you think. And, I loved it. The game is so much faster. And I thought the girls were, just a lot easier to work with. And because with some of the guys, in the summer, I just feel like they didn't respect me a whole lot just because I was still a young guy, and they didn't really, trust me to know that, like, I knew what I was, like, trying to teach them. So, it was kind of crazy, and Andrea Gustafson gave me the opportunity to help out, and it was a really, really good experience.
So, solve one myth for me. Baseball swing, softball swing, similar?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I think it's the same game. It's just one ball's coming up and one ball's coming down.
Correct.
And you're trying to meet it on the same plane and do damage with that pitch.
How'd you do with the slap hitters? Did you have to work with them?
Yeah, we had a couple slap hitters. It was fun to work with them because they're really they're like special athletes.
Coordination.
To be able to move at a pitcher while trying to hit the ball, and your eyes. I mean, that's just crazy athleticism right there.
Right.
So yeah, that was different, and I wish I could have been around it more to really learn and to be able to learn how to coach a slap hitter.
Right. So if you had to choose right now to coach right now today, baseball or softball, what would you choose?
I'm going to go softball.
You go back to softball. All right. That's good. So.
You've been around the game. You have a younger brother that plays at Andale now. You've seen some of his games in the summer. Compare those games now to when you played, and this was what, 6 years ago? High school-wise, 7 years ago? Compare the age groups.
For myself growing up, there was no film. There was nothing to look at, so you just went out and played. And I feel like it's tough for me because I was never a film guy. I went out there and played and let my athleticism work. So my advice for kids or kind of the stuff that I see now is, like, don't get too consumed by that. And it's, I really didn't turn into a man until I was 21, 22 years old. I was 5'6", 120 pounds my freshman year of high school, and then I was, 55 pounds heavier my senior year. So my body was just continuing to change, and my swing was changing. So, everyone's trying to just emulate this perfect swing off these, big league hitters. I think there's a fine line that, I think you just have to go out and play and let your body work. And probably the biggest thing that I tell my brother is, when it's game time, you play. Like, you cannot be up there thinking about, like, that's the job in the on-deck circle, is you're thinking about what you're trying to feel, being on time, what you're going to do if you're trying to hit the ball the other way, or what kind of job you're trying to do. So, kids just got to have fun. And that's what I didn't do in my last year. I just didn't have fun and enjoy the game, and it kind of ruined it for me. And, yeah.
So would you say, like you're saying, your biggest advice there was for them to have some fun and enjoy what they're doing? But along with that, obviously, compete.
Yeah.
They got to compete.
Yeah.
Because would you agree with me or not? Players, when they get to college, they could be the best player in Wichita. When they get to college, they got dudes from Texas. They got dudes from Colorado. Yeah. Those are some of the best players coming from there. How would you say for those guys, because we got a lot of dudes here that are really good ball players, they really are, but what are they looking to see when they get there to the college level against these other guys?
One of the biggest things that I see nowadays is, and I understand it as, parents wanting to protect their children and whatnot, but they have to understand that these coaches it's their job to win games, and if they don't win games, they don't have a job.
Right.
So as a coach, it's very stressful to realize that, you know, if I don't win games, I can't, you know, put food on the table for my family. So I see a lot of stuff with coaches, you know, yelling at people, and parents are suing coaches for yelling at their kids and stuff, but it's a business. And if you want to make it and go play professional baseball and try to make it in the big leagues, that's all it is business. You know, they're there to win games and make it to the World Series,
right,
sell jerseys. You know, it's all about money at that point. And, you know, I think that's why I really, you know, growing up as a kid, my father was very tough on us. You know, we were not entitled to anything, and we had to work for what we wanted. And it was kind of funny because when I got to college, I can still remember the second day. Mike Sirianni, he's at Wichita State right now. We were hitting batting practice, and he told me, he said, "You will not play for me if you don't hit the ball the other way." And I said, okay. And then at every round in BP, if I would try to pull a baseball, he'd say, "Get out of there." And I would lose that round. And he just said, you're going to hit the ball the other way, because I could run. And he said, that's your best tool, so you're going to hit the ball the other way. And I just don't, you know, when kids get to that college level, those coaches are going to tell them what to do. And if they're not going to do it, they're not going to play.
Right.
And I think that's where parents have to understand that, you know, it's okay to their kids to get yelled at, and, you know, it helps them grow. And the thing that I liked about baseball the most is I think it prepared me for life is, you know, with my job now, if I don't show up every day and do my job, I'm going to get fired and they're going to find somebody else. Like I'm replaceable, and so is every other baseball player. So, yeah, I think, you know, going into college, these kids need to understand that, like, they're there for that coach, and that coach is going to try to make them a better person and a better baseball player, and hopefully everything translates. You know, hopefully they can make it to the next level. If not, you know, give them some experience and some life lessons.
Right.
Is what I really appreciated with the game of baseball.
Okay.
If your 2013 group were to play 316's 2020 group, who would win?
I mean, come on. It's not even close.
Not
It's
even,
2013.
There you go. talented group
Yeah.
of guys that you guys had there.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you're with the Rockies. Is that your favorite major league team?
You know, growing up, my favorite team was probably the Red Sox.
Okay.
You know, I liked Big Papi, David Ortiz.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being with it, and then, you know, being able to be at spring training with all the big league guys, you know, these stars that are on TV. You know, I was able to, you know, to be around them for 30 days at spring training. So.
And you also got a couple of opportunities to play with the big club, didn't you, in spring training?
Yeah. So so every game, the big league club, they take 4 or 5 minor league guys, and, you know, Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon, all those guys, you know, after 5 or 6 innings, after a couple ABs, and they'll rotate some minor league guys in there. So yeah, I got to go play in 4 of those games, and
Pretty sweet.
yeah, probably the best memory I have from that is, you know, we played the San Francisco Giants, and it was St. Patrick's Day, so we got these cool, you know, green leprechaun hats, and yeah, Charlie Blackmon hit a double, and I went on second base, and I got a run, and, you know, we played in front of 15,000 fans, and, you know, I just, you know, I wish everyone could experience, you know, how loud that is in front of 15,000.
Did Blackman walk out there and tell you not to screw it up, kid?
No, just like give me a high five.
Don't get thrown out because it goes against my stats.
Yeah.
So,
Growing up, who was your favorite player?
You know, Carlos Beltran.
okay, why is that?
His swing, he just had he had a beautiful swing. I think lefties, you know, Ken Griffey, you know, every lefty, you know, that's a superstar, just has like a beautiful swing.
Right.
And he played center field, so that was kind of my favorite player growing up.
There you go. What hobbies do you have outside of baseball?
You know, I used to hunt a little bit, but honestly, I really don't do a whole lot. Yeah, just kind of work and just gotta mind myself.
Trying becoming a man now. Responsibility.
Yeah, I realize how expensive a mortgage payment is.
There you go. Got to make it up. I hear you. So,
Last question. What is the most interesting thing about you that some people might not know?
You know, this is tough because, you know, probably an interesting thing about me is, you know, the first time that I ever bought a pair of shoes for myself was 24 years old, and they were a pair of Skechers. So I would say that's pretty interesting about me.
that was the most interesting thing you did.
Yeah.
Finally bought your first pair of shoes. Mom, you don't have to buy them anymore. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, Tyler, I want to thank you for coming on today's show.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's very interesting. Hopefully, people, you know, the younger kids take some good advice from what you said, you know, about getting better, competitiveness, and what it takes to play, and get to the level that you were at, which is really impressive. It really is. I want to thank everybody for watching This Week in Baseball Player Profiles. I want to thank our sponsor of today's show, BST Training. If you need an online training class, please go to BST Training. He will help your son or daughter get better. Thank you for today, watching the show.